Why, some say the moon. Why choose this as a... And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win. We choose to go to the moon.
Welcome. First of all, this is World Blockchain Roundtable. I'm the host, and that makes me I Am, who is also an emperor, a real live living legend emperor, first emperor of a DAO ever elected in the world, unless you can challenge the dates on a blockchain. And so I'm the emperor of the DAO for Din.social. And joining us in this World Blockchain Roundtable show next to me is the wonderful, beautiful Litecoin Lisa, or Lisa Mighty Davis from the Mighty layer. Below her there is Andrew Joseph from the Legacy Right. I seem to be tongue-tied today. Welcome, Andrew. And then underneath me there is Greg from Rivet. And Greg, I apologize because guess what? I cut off the ending of that first video.
Oh, it's okay. Honestly, you got the best parts. That's the important stuff. Honestly, that was a Rivet. So I wanted to say something about that Rivet ad. So I'm glad you brought it up, for making the audio from all the ghosts free to use to anybody. That's freaking cool. That background music from that clip is the great Trent Reznor Ghosts. I think it's Ghost 1-4 maybe. So first disc, fourth track. That's where that came from. And he made that entire record free for anybody to use, as long as they weren't using it commercially, which we did put Rivet on it, but we're making a statement. It has nothing to do with the commerce. Right. Well, anyway, this again is the longest living blockchain based podcast with the DAO. And this is episode number 238. Each week we do this episode where the audience participation is one that they vote on themes and they vote on questions, and then the panelists have to answer blockchain, usually blockchain related questions. And so this is a DAO-based podcast, the oldest in the world. How about that? And that is brought to you also /Din.social for making all that possible. And before we get into today's topic, which has to do with time travel and blockchains and time travel, I think it's going to be a fun episode. We're going to talk real briefly about last week's show. And who remembers what last week's show was about? Last week's show was...
Heard it on Joe. Oh, AI provable or not.
That's right. You get the balloons.
Nice.
Way to go. Yes, it was blockchain to determine AI fakes or outputs. Are they real or fiction? And that was fun. That was cool. And this week's show, like I said, is going to be time travel. But last week's show, we just got richer in lot for everyone who participated. 100 lot was given to each topic contributor. Each host received 66 lot. And last week's theme was nominated by...
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. And I got an extra 100 lot for that. Now, lot is layer ownership token that happens to be on the Din.social platform. And so that's what we're doing, is we're getting lot tokens, which is a tokenized form of this show. So it gives us all ownership in the show, shall we say, in forms of law. And it gives us
it weighs your vote. So any basically initiative anyone brings before the DAO, you get to vote on it. And if you have any of the lot at all, you can. Is there a bottom limit for bringing proposals, or do you just have to have some?
No, you just have to have some.
Yeah, so just a little.
No bottom threshold.
And you can then make proposals, and those proposals will be voted on by everybody else according to the layer ownership token weight that they have. So that means if you get an idea up there that one of us loves, this guy, one of these guys, then pretty much guarantees your idea is going to pass.
Yep.
And that's the weight of participation to the emperor of the thing.
Yes.
Seems so much fair than our current system. I was watching a little quick interview. Jake Clapper from CNN was talking to Arnold Schwarzenegger. And Arnold was explaining that he mentioned Tuesday, Massachusetts, there's over 40% of people voted for Donald Trump, but not a single Republican representation in Congress for those 40%. And in New Mexico, 45% of people voted for Donald Trump, and they don't have a single Republican representative in Congress either. That
sounds like gerrymandering to me.
Yes, what Greg said.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah,
it's amazing what you can do when you carve districts up. Just so you know, you can make a state that ought to come out red just appear completely blue if you carve the district the right way.
That's the blockchain solution, right? That we have the truth and the proof, and everyone gets a say. And anyway,
the districts should be drawn, in my opinion, arbitrarily.
Yeah,
they should be drawn as a grid over the whole thing, cut off by the edges, just like the states that border the ocean are by the water.
Yeah, and the grid should rotate every year, so it'd be a little different, you know.
Maybe the rotation was random, and the randomness of it couldn't be stripped from the rules of it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'll find a way to hijack the randomization and turn it into a way to turn it into auto gerrymandering.
Right.
Yeah. But does it really matter? I mean,
do
they listen to the will of the people? Do they listen to the people, or are they beholden to special interest and lobbyists and vote according to their will?
No, that's a deck chair on this side of the Titanic versus the other at this point.
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
All right. A little competition there, William. She's drinking coffee when you say matter now, it looks like.
Yeah, I got my coffee, and I have one of my favorite mugs. It says, "Cats are like potato chips. You can't have just one." I just wish it said dogs.
Yeah.
Right.
Really pets.
Yeah.
That would cover both.
There you go.
And all the lizard people out there. I got a pet lizard when I moved out here. I had no idea I was going to get a gecko. One of our dogs almost got a hold of it, and we rescued it before it was it lost its tail. But we put him in a planter outside, and he's hanging out, man. We got a new pet.
Nice.
No, I named him Delta.
Well, we have one more item of business to discuss before we go into today's time machine, and that is this: need your help.
Oh.
I love that one. It's funny. And it's January theme suggestions. So this is, again, how you can earn lot by making a suggestion, and it's voted in as one of the week's topics. Then you get it.
Yep.
So I thought
it costs you zero lot to make a suggestion. So you don't even have to this could be your first contribution.
That's right. So I thought I'd go over a couple quick here. Decentralized UBI, blockchain powered basic income, no government. UBI seems to be one of the topics of late. Theme: one panelist must give only wrong answers.
Just one.
So, just one panelist. I thought that would be kind of interesting. Yeah. That would be me.
No, I said that would be my job.
Oh, that'd be your job.
It could rotate. It could rotate per question.
Oh, that would be good. then nobody would, who was watching would probably be confused on everyone's policy.
We could even do a secret here so that nobody knows which one of us for sure until they hear the answer.
Yeah, no kidding. You need a poker face for that one, right? One panelist must give only wrong answers. Now, it would be interesting if two panelists agreed with the wrong answer, or another panelist agreed with the wrong answer.
Right.
It would create even more confusion, right? I thought that would be fun.
So the power of being wrong, right there.
Yeah. Mining blockchains versus 100% tokens available on launch day. Interesting
good
conversation. That's kind of a
That is
regulatory
an interesting idea.
Well,
I mean, is it though? What if you actually have all these tokens suddenly available from a first come first serve type of operation? Anybody who wants to play can just grab a fistful off the river bottom, and there's no mining because it's already on the surface. I wonder if it would still work.
Well, that's traditionally what meme coins are about. They all go onto the market, but then there's divvies.
Technically, there's still some work going into that, right? Like you have to go out and manually get them.
Yeah, some of them. Well, not on Meme Asylum. Yeah, you're correct. You're referring to Meme Asylum.
Not a Meme Asylum, but yeah.
And then we have how to get blockchain voting adoption. Are stable coins really CBDCs? That gets voted in. We really got to see if we can get Aaron on the show for that one.
Yeah, that's
a good one.
Expert. 2026 predictions. Well, this is a January show, right?
That's a
blockchain and current events. That would be good if that gets voted in. That would be a good one for the first week. It'd be kind of horrible if we had it on the fourth week and something already took place that someone makes a prediction after the fact.
Right.
We just have to have somebody make a suggestion for that, right?
Yeah.
To then to be able to vote to change the cycle or the way they come in.
Yeah.
We could always set up prediction markets based on the answers people give in the binary. Like if we get a good binary, we could always set up a prediction market and see who's right.
Well, that's essentially what Din.social is. It's a prediction market.
Oh, I guess it is. That's true. It'd be kind of like putting a hat on a hat, wouldn't it, for us to open a prediction market?
Yeah. I've been really digging in on that side of it. Yeah.
Although hats on hats are funny, so there's maybe an argument for doing that.
I always thought that the Sherlock Holmes hat was a hat on hat. The brim on the front and the brim on the back.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right.
Extra hat. Everyone needs a little extra hat.
So everybody get in your theme suggestions for January. The cutoff is, when is the cutoff? It's
December 16th.
December 16th, 9 a.m. Eastern.
Yep.
2 p.m. UTC.
So anyone who wants to put in a suggestion for the first time, I'm withholding my vote for 24 hours. Anybody watching right now can get a suggestion in.
Yeah.
No, a suggestion in, and if you put your suggestion in, I will vote for your suggestion.
Oh, sweet.
If you're new, if you're new, this would have to be like whoever does this first time is just going to get basically my vote, unless there are a lot of them, and then I'll just choose whichever one I think is the coolest question.
Sweet.
But somebody new will get my vote unless we get to the 16th and nobody has put in.
No. And anybody can join Din.social and the WBRT layer with just an email. It doesn't take money or anything to vote or to participate, to get involved. So go to Din.social, enter your email, make a new email if you're worried about privacy or whatever. And you can be a part of the show and ask questions.
Yep.
Thanks, Lisa.
We even offer anonymous if you
prefer
to stay anonymous.
That's right. I forgot about that option.
All right. Well, let's take a look here real quick in our chat before we go into. We got a good morning from Nana. I said good morning, y'all. Lisa says morning and all. Oh, and especially Nana. Nice. We got a good morning from Boston.
Nice.
That's a lot. Oh, we got Flat Earthers rule. Maybe you should. Why don't you should put that up as a something on as a theme for us to discuss.
Oh my goodness, that would be a good.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, yeah. Love y'all. Have a great show. Looks like Sean may
Thanks,
not be able
Sean.
to join us today. Oh, Sean, miss you, bud. And hi, Em. Hi, Lisa. Hi, gentlemen. All right.
That's Lee.
That's Lee. Nice. Thanks, Lee. All right. Okay, well, let's move into today's topic. Let's do some time machine stuff. Now, the question
Sweet.
or how it was proposed was blockchain time machine. What would you change? So I'm assuming the question is worded, and I'm assuming and I wrote it because I was only thinking of going back in time. I wasn't thinking about future events. Blockchain time machine, what would you change? So if you can come up with an idea of how you would predict the future and change the future, maybe you can enter that into one of your answers to the panelists. I did see that we had an anonymous question today. Let me go ahead and hit refresh. And let's go down to ready to go back in time. Here we go.
Hey,
Forward, right?
Forward. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That looks like I used Grok to help me create this image. I was trying to look for the agent from Matt. What's his from the Matrix, whispering into Satoshi's ear. Yeah, Agent Smith whispering into Satoshi's ear, and it says, "Question: if you could go back to 2008, 2009, and whisper one piece of advice into Satoshi Nakamoto's ear before Bitcoin white paper or Genesis block, what would it be?" So what would you ask Satoshi to change in the white paper or in the block? Let's start with you, Greg. I think that's kind of a good question.
Yeah, that's, I probably would have Satoshi say in his initial text something along the lines of, "This is open source software meant to be forked. Do not form a religion around me."
Oh, wow. Is that your final answer?
Yeah,
Can I push back on that one?
sure.
I think you would encourage so many forks that early adoption would be sacrificed because there wouldn't be, because
still with not. I didn't mean. May I clarify?
Okay.
I didn't mean in lieu of the other statement. I mean, in addition to the other statement.
Oh, okay.
So it would still be like, we've got a dire situation. We've got to replace money, but don't make a god of this one.
Or any of all. Yeah.
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 Not wise to make money your god in any form.
Right. Which I think the religion of Bitcoin killed the idea of Bitcoin. And that was really the idea that I was driving at.
Wasn't money go up or number go up?
No, I think that became part of its right.
The maxi hodl. Don't use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That came much later.
It was more of an encouraged worst impulse one could have with the software.
Yeah.
Than anything.
Good point. Andrew, what would you whisper in Satoshi Nakamoto's ear during his development phase of Bitcoin?
I think the halving process could have been tweaked better to better, adjust for how time was to progress with the amount of Bitcoin that would be being released, since it's supposed to, come out every 4 years. The amount of Bitcoin is released in half. Maybe do not half, maybe a quarter or something like that, and then just play before you did anything final.
So would you make it every 2 years? Would you?
Well, the 4 year cycle is fine, but just the amount being released. like for miners to mine.
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
could have been adjusted.
Dynamically? No,
Yeah, I mean,
maybe.
this
Interesting.
there's something to discuss.
Lisa, if you had Satoshi's ear, what would you whisper to it?
I have one word with a question after it. Privacy.
Oh, good one.
Yeah, that's a
Very
good one. That's a really good one.
Bravo. Oh, I like it. I like it. Wow. Why didn't I think of that one? It gone before you.
You can go before me next time.
Oh, that's a good one, Lisa. See, I'm torn because I'm thinking, you know, it's kind of hard to say these things too, or think of these things because how it would change the time continuum, right? But I think of trying to prevent the fork wars, and if he was a little bit more specific in that area of big blocks or the purpose, the original purpose was more resolute, even though that was the title of the white paper. Um, uh, Maybe along those lines, something to that effect. I think, but then again, the 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 blockchain was certainly vulnerable early with less miners, less adoption, and this kind of thing. And if it was outright specifically listed as an attack on government sourced money, then Satoshi probably would have come under a lot more pressure or been discovered who or she or who they were, assuming they weren't CIA or anything.
Yeah.
But I think something like that because I still honestly believe that the fork wars created a huge chasm in the whole industry, in the whole space, and it created a lot of the team, shall we say, broke up, and that could have been avoided maybe if his verbiage in the white paper was a little bit more specific, but you never know if it was like who is it who's the other Stephen Patterson and Roger Ver, how they talk about Bitcoin was hijacked. Who's to say that they wouldn't have hijacked it anyway? Despite
They would have tried something for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like if you would go back in time and assassinate Hitler, what would have been the war machine you would have faced?
Right.
When fascism happened anyway.
Right. So I guess that's kind of where I would go. It's a difficult. It's a fun exercise to have this kind of discussion. Obviously, it's moot. You can't go back into time, and you can't whisper in his ear and make a change. We can only make assumptions based off what his writings were, what his emails were, what his postings were in blogs, etc. So we can only assume. But Bitcoin certainly took a life of its own, far beyond what I think it was originally intended to be. So maybe something, a good whisper might have been something about being able to grow in such a way that could handle more throughput, more transactions per second. So it could, on an earlier scale, could scale up and compete with MasterCard and Visa.
That could have been done.
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't have the design for it at the time.
Right. I still say Lisa takes the cake. As MC today, I'm going to give the
privacy would have been cool.
Yeah. The blue first place ribbon to Lisa for privacy.
Yeah. If it had been anonymous instead of pseudo-anonymous, the entire history of it would have been different.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Let's move on to the next one. Various time machines there.
Yeah.
Thanks to Block.
All fantastic pieces of machinery.
Assuming you were successfully used a time machine to amass a fortune in early crypto, how would you use that wealth for the betterment of society? Okay, I guess I will go first. I wrote the question. I didn't think it through.
Dang.
Let's see. For the betterment of society. Well, first of all, I would probably do things like maybe try to expose TX, early on, to try to minimize the damage in the crypto space. Maybe I would be a giant whale during the fork wars and would have had a different influence that changed that. And I say that those items for the betterment of society, while it's isolated within the blockchain space, it trying to prevent different scams, the lending against Bitcoin, Terra Luna, and others, for that, and for the betterment of society, more kind of inward towards the blockchain space. If I was going to go external with a mass of wealth, I would certainly, I would probably pump up anarchist, publications, or pointing out where the government is evil, and I would probably prop up the umbrella promise. I think for the betterment of society, if you could get money out of campaigns, that would certainly be a huge win for society, because we would all have a voice, and you wouldn't have to change the Constitution. Now I'm speaking specifically within the U.S. Probably start some charitable movements that were centered around, I don't know, vets and world peace, ending wars, and that kind of thing. There you go. How about you, Lisa?
I always think of children first. So, and I've been learning more about these, tragic ways that these evil people are grooming children online. So I would set up bounties for, I think they're called white hat or gray hat hackers, to find these evil people, monsters that go after children and harm children. I would do that. And then I would also create a huge physical delivery demand in silver to break the derivatives and end the banks.
Oh, nice. Oh, man, you're on a roll today.
Those are my
I love it. I love it.
dreams.
Andrew, betterment of society.
Man,
you bought Bitcoin at 50 cents.
I mean, that would be very, very nice. I would try to get some different development teams together and, try to improve on the original white paper, maybe in different countries, different jurisdictions, and play them against each other and make it look like, they're all independent, but really they don't know about each other, but they're really, under my umbrella trying to push each other to outdo each other.
Nice.
Interesting.
Nice.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah.
I'd pay off my mother's house.
Oh, nice. Charity starts at home. There you go.
That's right.
All right, Greg.
I would pour my resources into 3 areas. One of them would be the partial epigenetic reprogramming research being done by all of the labs and stuff around David Sinclair's stuff. That would be number 1. Number 2, I would pour a lot of resources into energy research, specifically around plasma containment. I think we could figure out fusion if we just put they've already got the damn thing figured out at was it the High Energy Research Ignition Facility or whatever the hell they call the thing? Those holograms with lasers. We could actually be figuring that out if we were dedicating resources directly to solving the problem. So I would be doing that, and then I would also be trying to put an ice asteroid in orbit around Earth so I can build the first orbital gas station from which we could expand into heavy industry in orbit. Those would be the three things I would do.
Your data centers being in orbit
Makes sense, actually, because infinite solar, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And free
cooling.
cooling.
Free cooling.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Free
watched
cool.
that
Yeah, well, as long as you're willing to draw. Yeah, free cooling, exactly.
from the backside of the entity or whatever. And they were talking about, I think it's the same interview or whatever you guys watched, but they were also mentioned that if you used satellites, that right now the only thing faster than a laser moving through fiber, which is what we have here, is laser moving through a vacuum in space. So you would just cut out the middleman of the fiber, and you could we can already directly receive satellite from our phones. So yeah,
Well, and if we were willing to pulse microwaves, we could actually. The problem is aiming, right? Because you don't want to miss the collection. You don't want to miss the collection plate and like torch a neighborhood.
Energy and data. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, sort of like you'd gather a whole bunch of solar energy, emit a big pulse of microwave radiation, and catch it on Earth and collect it. Turn it back into electricity.
I'm sorry. I thought they were doing that with radio waves already.
Well, yeah, they do that a lot with radio waves.
Microwave, you know.
The only reason to do it with microwaves is because you can turn it into direct like electric power generated from solar space, which would be pretty like always on, at least if you built the state place on the ground.
It's literally free energy for everyone.
Well, I mean, free for a matter. You'd be able to take constant solar.
Yep. Constant solar, exactly. Right. And eventually they're going to have solar paint on your house, so you won't have to have solar panels. You can just paint your house with it.
The best energy grid is no grid at all.
No.
True.
There you go. We are energy.
All right. So I guess that's everybody on the betterment of society. Well, you know what? If we four had amassed a massive fortune in early crypto, society would be in a better place from our investments that we just mentioned here.
Well, we're just delayed a little bit. Yeah, gotta get the fortunes amassed first, and then we can get onto the other stuff.
Sorry.
All right. Here we go. Did I not refresh? I thought I refreshed. This has got the most.
I believe you did.
First. Okay. Ethereum made the conscious decision in 2016 to hard fork and reverse the DAO hack. By the way, this is anonymous. Knowing everything that happened afterward, parity freeze, EIP 1559 drama, and the merge delay, would you still have supported the DAO rollback or let it stand as code is law? So for anyone who doesn't recall, this is how ETC came into existence from ETH, and the big fork that happened back in 2016 with Ethereum. This is a good question. Who wants to go first on this one?
I don't want to go first.
All right, go for it.
I would say I would not change a thing about what happened, because the Ethereum hard fork after the DAO hack took all of the people who were prone to that kind of solution out of the ETC as like this sort of purest time capsule, just waiting for somebody to propose the right solution to their chain to make that layer one scale. And if someone ever figures that out, then watch Ethereum Classic eat the world, right?
Interesting.
Because they stayed true to code as law. So if their blockchain ever became scalable because of some technical genius, then it would be basically unstoppable from an ideological standpoint.
I'll go next. If I could go back in time, then I'd go just before the DAO hack, and I would stop the DAO hack. And then this question would never happen. We would never be discussing this. No, in all seriousness, I think I think I would. That's a great point, that you're separating the community between those who are more purist and blockchain purist and code is law versus Ethereum. That's a great. And so, given that, now I'm thinking it through. Yes, I would allow the split to happen. And it's sad though, because ETH had more funding and it had more players within its core group that were well connected.
Right.
And
Which is also ETH's downfall, right?
Yes. Yes. But it's not on as far as price and usage. It's sad that ETH is number 2 on the blockchain, valuation list, and ETC is not.
Right. But it's also
and the purest, yeah, but the purest of the people that I can identify more with. Unfortunately, they're not number 2 on the list of largest blockchains.
Maybe fortunately though is what I was saying, right? Like given the fact that these chains are big largely because they've been propped up with stable coins, which are being stuffed full of treasuries as we speak.
Yeah. I'm going to happen. So let's just take a quick look here. So the market cap of Ethereum is $383 billion.
Still undervalued for what it does, frankly.
And where is ETC? Chihuahua.
They're down the list.
I'm gonna have to search it. Up to the top 50.
It runs around $20 a coin these days. Last I checked.
Oh, it's number 48. Sorry, folks.
It's all right.
Well, I looked this up real quick. Go ahead, Andrew. How would you answer this question?
Well, I want to draw a comparison real quick before I answer.
Sure.
You see Bitcoin Core and Bitcoin Notch is kind of falling down the same rabbit hole. Is that these, different ideologies about what's appropriate, what's right. And you could probably see this playing out again. What happened with Ethereum and Ethereum Classic is that one's going to be, uncompromising, and I mean the other one's just going to go. It's going to kind of fold under the wind because it's the social, what people will say is socially acceptable, and it's a narrative, right? After that, you've given justification for law enforcement to come in and say, well, these people are trying to follow the law and these people aren't, so we can shut down core. And that's what I'm thinking is going to happen after all that. But as for Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, I think the code is law is, it's legitimate. It's the right way. And sometimes, sticking by your principles, even when it's uncomfortable, is the right thing to do.
Agreed.
Especially if they manage to invent something that brings them back, because they could.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't stand by your principles, you're just wearing a mask.
True.
Yeah.
But when you want to talk about principles, Joe Lubin's bags are in Ethereum, not Ethereum Classic, and that weighted that DAO vote, I would think, tremendously. So, I love Greg's talk about it separated the purist. I'm a proof of work love kind of girl, but I do see the value of proof of stake coins as well, and that things can be built on them easier. Or I don't know that that's it. Easier is a true statement, but you see a lot of things being built on proof of stake.
Right.
And so
it works. The cost is political compromise.
Yeah.
Isn't that always the weight of the world?
Right.
Yeah. So I don't think it would have mattered what I voted or supported, to be honest, when that happened, because the vote was so stacked because of the centralization in Ethereum at the time. I'm glad to see it have happened and to have separated. So ETC all the way, baby.
Something I'm thinking about though is the sad part about it. I guess the immutable ledger. The idea of the immutable ledger, ETC, is the immutable ledger. There was no rollback. There was no change to the, they didn't go back to older blocks and start afresh from an old block. So that created some damage for, the average person who still could understand what was taking place and may have moved on and moved away from crypto and never came back, or looked at crypto as, and blockchain as, oh, this isn't a solution. Look at that. They can just roll back the blocks. So it's no longer immutable. And that could have created some damage that we don't know, maybe there was a large
I think it's created some damage we do know. I think the narrative around crypto being immutable regardless was one of the things that was defending it. It was seen as an ironclad flank that nobody was going to offend, right? The authorities stayed away from challenging it on those grounds because they didn't want the engineers to harden it further.
But it's a reputational damage that, to blockchain in the space, the blockchain world, that we're still recovering from in many ways. I think there were a lot of people that lost trust in blockchain.
It also killed a lot of the trust people put in the big dream narrative, right? Like that's what it killed the most, was this spirit of inevitability, this sort of direct line that you could once draw between the crypto anarchist manifesto of this is inevitable and the inevitability of each block just crystallizing, and it is what it is, whatever happens, was no longer the way that the world worked after the DAO rollback and the hard fork. It was foolish, honestly, to sacrifice that moral high ground, because it opened up all of the weaknesses that we saw get exploited to turn Ethereum into what it is today.
Right. And by the way, ETC's got a valuation of 2.1 billion, and Ethereum is a valuation of 384.8 billion. So it's 2 to 384 difference. That's pretty. Pretty massive.
What's pretty wild though is that Ethereum Classic has survived multiple, 51% attacks, and it's still going.
Interestingly, we worked on one of the solutions for that. My team.
Oh, nice.
Really?
We when we were still called Open Relay back in the day, we worked on the modify exponential selective scoring approach that they use to weight historic blocks and make it really expensive to fake a long chain, basically. They only recently took it out of commission because they put in some other security features, but
nice feather in your cap.
Well, no, I mean we just it was an interesting project because we had to do a whole bunch of simulations for them. That was our role. We simulated attacks on a simulated network using the solution. So
nice.
Yep.
Let me refresh here. Was that it? Did we go through them all that quickly?
It looks like it.
I didn't refresh.
Full and fair disclosure, Rivet has always been pretty ride or die with the ETC people. So if I sound like a shill, I kind of am.
I thought you always defended Ethereum.
I defend the idea of Ethereum, but I more defend Ethereum Classic.
Okay.
And I defend the idea of programmability.
Fair.
Always.
Yeah, there is another question here. I'm having troubles with my machine here. Let me yeah,
I could probably.
yeah, and I could pull it up on my other window, thank goodness. Let's take a look here. This gentleman ran the Chicago Mercantile Exchange in 2017. And before the big drop off, when Bitcoin hit that 20,000 mark, I've talked about this on the show a lot. Mnuchin under Trump had approved the Chicago Mercantile Exchange to trade Bitcoin. And prior to that, that happened on the day that Bitcoin crashed in December 2017. And we went into that long year and a half bear market. And this guy, Leo Malamed, said, we'll tame Bitcoin. And that's exactly what they did. So the question is this. If you could erase one major event or trend from blockchain history entirely, Mt. Gox hack, the Silk Road shutdown, the 2018 bear market from this this movement to Chicago Mercantile Exchange, Terra Luna collapse, FTX implosion, which one would you pick and why? So what would you, which one do you think created maybe the most harm for Bitcoin? And what would you change?
I don't know if it would be SEC being appointed over blockchain, but their overreach and, stifling innovation through enforcement that was not lawful or by we the people, I think destroyed innovation in America or set it back tremendously, Veritasium included. The attacks on many great projects, just like Dragon Chain and Veritasium, the list goes on.
Man, you're hot today. Nailed it again.
I'm sure the boys will have great answers, but that is the one thing that I think was the most.
Because most funding was coming from the U.S. It was a U.S. market, and that just crushed it.
Not just funding, but literally the innovation. Exactly. Reggie Middleton is an American, and of course the big capital markets didn't want him. And Dragon Chain is an American blockchain. So we cut our own nose off with a 3-letter agency that is not constitutional because Congress wouldn't do their job and be the voice of we the people.
That's right.
Deferred to a 3-letter agency to then overreach and overstep. So anyway.
Well said. Couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
Andrew, what would you change if you could go back in time and to one of these?
If I could go back in time and change something, it would probably be, stuff like Butterfly Labs, how they weren't able to really get up off the ground and actually, get momentum and establish themselves fully. And kind of goes with that was the way that the miners were allegedly using hardware to mine before they sent it out to people in advance. I think that could have all been cleaned up a lot better and done it more efficiently and more, by the book.
That's a good one.
Honestly.
Good one. How about you, Greg? I'm going to finish off last.
I probably would have. So I would have killed the government response to crypto operated by Joe Biden, to be very clear. Like the one that got amplified that Trump started, that basically he took and dialed up to 11. I would kill that, like Operation Choke Point 2.0, but most importantly, the whole psyop around proof of work being environmentally destructive.
Yeah.
Because that single-handedly drove the ETH people to do their we're going to be pliable to the compliance people thing and schedule the merge to proof of work or to proof of stake over the scaling solution that they were working on, which would have tried to address it from a proof of work first standpoint. That scaling research would have potentially yielded something that that would have made all the stuff that we've been through with proof of stake being politically pliable disappear. That also would have kept people from basically stomping on Bitcoin from an environmental angle, which I think lost us a lot of the normie crowd who was still responsive at the time to that kind of ditto-headedness. But
Great point.
But
Yeah,
I think most of all the whole of government response that operated under Joe Biden would be the thing that I would get rid of. Either that or the Constitution DAO. I would have had that thing succeed at getting the Constitution.
Well, yeah.
Because that would have been a win for the NFT community that might have sustained it.
Well, if Joe signed it with the auto pin, it may be gone. So
it's actually a fair point.
Good point. Yeah. Unfortunately, the damage has already been done.
Historical momentum is lost, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's actually where I was going to go with the historical momentum. At one point, I was thinking about this event, because that 2018 bear market was really crippling for crypto. Once we shot well past 10,000 and 20,000, it was going to continue. And the same day that Bitcoin went on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange was the same day that we had a long bear market, and a lot of people lost a lot of money and didn't hold long enough. They didn't have those diamond hands to hodl through the bear market, and it killed the investment world for crypto for a long time. And so I was going to point to this event, and that's why I had selected that image. But then I started thinking that the Intel superstate and the hijacking of Bitcoin might have been a bigger event, that if it could have been stopped, because when people thought of Bitcoin as digital currency, digital cash, Microsoft was accepting it. There was, Overstock.com was accepting it. There were so many large
AWS accepted it for a while, actually.
Yes, there are so many large companies that were accepting crypto, and that momentum would have just kept going and going and going. And the fork wars really put a wrench into that machine, and then into the gears. And then you add that 2017 killer of December 17th, December 18th. That was a huge hit. We had so much momentum going for us. So maybe the fork wars is what I would probably change, because I'm saying that the Intel superstate was involved in that. And I think that if we hadn't gone down that road, we would probably be using, more than PayPal, we'd be using crypto on the internet. More than credit cards, we might be using crypto on the internet for our purchases. And think of that. Think of the world, how we would start rethinking the idea of central banking and endless money printing, and the scarcity of money, and how that brings about value, increased values. So I think that would have made a revolutionary change in all of society. Did we lose Lisa? Did I offend her? Because she had the best answers today.
I'm offended.
He's going to leave us. So I guess that was it. I throwing an error here. So
down for migration.
Yeah. There we go.
Well, we got to the end.
Lisa, I'm sorry I offended you. I said something, I offended you, and you left. And you had the best answers today.
No, I apologize. My brain was dialing in, and I got excited and talking about ETC and Ethereum, and then how you were talking about and the scarcity and all that. And I was thinking about all the opportunity there is in Ethereum Classic, knowing the scarcity is there, it's proof of work, and than seeing the low market cap right now. Like, to me, that's opportunity, just because, like, when you were talking about the event, the going on trading, and they were gonna.
Chicago.
That's when we got in, was 2017. Mom gave us Litecoin. We had our, red pill, orange pill moment education. And so for us getting in during the bear market was a huge opportunity for accumulating and education. So to me, that was a really positive time, even though it was hard on early Bitcoiners, I'm sure. But so then I started thinking about, well, wait a minute, where else in the market right now is it a great opportunity because of those same issues or things? Anyway, just that's where. So then I clicked on another tab because I was so excited and thinking about things. So I apologize for my.
That's good.
No worries.
That's good. Well,
That's
that is. Oh, here you go. Oh, look at that. Nana says Lisa's ideas are the best. Well, that's
full
for
disclosure,
sure.
this is my mother speaking. Oh,
Uh-oh. Somebody's cooking something.
That's loud.
Oh, I don't know what that is. Hang on, I got a beeper going off.
All right, make sure it's no fire, Greg. SEC was a killer as well. That's what you said, Lisa.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's it for today's questions. Going back into time, is there anything else you all might want to discuss about what you would change in the past in the blockchain world that these questions didn't bring up?
I'm curious. Do people? Oh, Andrew, you go first.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I mean, maybe the WikiLeaks thing could have had better timing.
That's a good point.
Or being put on blockchain.
Imagine the powerhouse WikiLeaks would have been had it been able to amass all that Bitcoin and be able to hold it and pay whistleblowers and this kind of thing, or obtain even more information. Because remember, they were cut off. All the banks had cut them off, and the only way they could afford to keep their doors open or continue on was to accept Bitcoin. And Satoshi Nakamoto, in his writings, he didn't like it. He didn't like it at all because he felt it was going to create more, turn the eyes of government onto the Bitcoin, blockchain that wasn't ready yet. It didn't have enough robust miners, and he felt that the blockchain was still vulnerable. And he did not like the idea that WikiLeaks was using it for funding.
Right.
It's fascinating. I don't think it was if I recall in his writings, he wasn't that he was against WikiLeaks. He was just saying that we're not
it was just that it was
it.
dangerous to the network because it wasn't ready. Right.
Yeah.
Basically because they could have taken it over with effort in terms of just putting miners online.
How about this one? If you could go back in time, and maybe had invisible cloaking or something, and you could determine who Satoshi Nakamoto was, would that be something you would do? You still couldn't come back and tell anybody. Would it? Does it really matter? I think it comes back to it's just the intrigue.
Apparently, the NSA knows who he is, or that's what I've read in the past.
Yeah, you would think.
The only argument I think for knowing who he is, like, hey, you're giving me some of that initial stash you set aside for yourself, or you're going public.
Right.
Extort Satoshi.
Yeah.
Oh, funny.
He'd fire up that transaction machine to keep you quiet.
Oh God.
What? Oh Lord.
I don't know.
But if the stakes are that, and then orbital gas station for human exploration of the solar system, then okay.
Yeah, there you go.
I only need 100,000 or so Bitcoin. I'll be fine.
They say don't meet your heroes. What if it turns out you don't like who Satoshi is and who he was, or that would be horrible. That idea of
Yeah, and don't meet your heroes, extort them.
Well, the government does that every day, so
Exactly.
they're not a hero of mine.
Wait, does it
Oh,
have
wait a minute.
heroes,
No,
though?
they are. I love my government.
It doesn't have heroes. That's okay.
Yeah. Oh shoot. Can anyone think of anything else before we move on to current, events?
Is there
Something
a coin that you would, if you could go forward and back, right? Because we're time machine. Can you anticipate a coin in the future that will do well, or project that you would want to be involved with in the future that you could then go back in time and tell yourself?
That's a good one.
I have
It's a
kind
good
of
one.
a twisted response to that, but it's not exactly what you asked. But
Go
That's
for it,
okay.
Andrew.
when the meme coins are coming out, back 2020, 2019, stuff like that, it's not investment advice. It's just my personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
I was putting $20, $30 into Dog Elon Mars coin or whatever it's called. And I moved down
Doge on
here
Mars.
from Knoxville. Yeah. I moved down here. I was DoorDash and I had $500 to it, and that was the only way I could pay my bills. I finally, I had to sell. I got a new job where I work now at the casino, and just this month, a couple days ago, I was able to buy it back $500, and I actually have a little bit more. So
Nice.
I will see what happens with this. I don't know. I just
Dude,
thought
that's
it was
awesome.
it just
Yeah.
Well, it provided an economic bridge for you. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's like the bottom line of all of this stuff. When it, what it can do for people right now is that, and that's super cool. Good to see it actually do its job.
It really sucked though, because as soon as I sold it, like 2 weeks later, it went parabolic.
Yeah.
Like, I knew
if I had never like hopelessly dumped that coin over and over again, missing it when it was low.
Yeah.
And that coin has left fortunes in my hands.
Isn't that
every
though
time I
such a
dumped
great
it out of lack of faith in it?
Isn't that what?
A great lesson.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
that we're not supposed to have our trust in money, and it's supposed to be a tool that is just it's for right now. And if you need it right now, then use the tool that you have, and then create and build. Like Joe and Greg always talk about build more, do more, And so to me, that's just part of the like defining what money in a healthy way should be, using it as a tool. So that's
everyone who gets into this really has to get square with the idea that they could lose it all.
To answer your question about going forward, going back, in what would you tell yourself? I think because this is a blockchain show, blockchain isn't all about number go up. It has a lot to do with its capabilities. And I think the three things I think of often when I think of blockchain and how it could improve society is one, being able to record history that couldn't be altered or changed. So how the victor can change the history, and we lose the losing side's perspective on things. I think of that. And then I think of like the umbrella promise, because it's a blockchain solution to end financial, control of our legislatures. And I think of that. Those are another blockchain solution that would, that doesn't involve money, but it's a blockchain voting system, shall we say, call it like a voting club within just your voting district. And then the politician has to answer and vote per the people's vote using blockchain. So I think of those things. And then lastly, what was the third one? I think of other solutions that can either prevent people from losing money, that just don't have the funding for traction for marketing or getting adoption, this kind of thing. And like one of them, you know, and I don't mean to shill it, but like Meme Asylum, because its methodology, the Meme Asylum experiment is just that. It's a methodology of not having this pump and dump of a meme price on a meme coin. It can smooth it out, and you can move that, you can burn those tokens right back into the platform. So people, rather than losing out and losing a lot of money on these meme coins, could instead go towards a platform like that gamifies it, but gives you a better safety rather than that pump and dump that so many people lose. And that also goes with like things like looking to the future into the past. I think of things like Din.social, polymarket kind of things, and Kalshi. That's all a craze right now about betting on current events or what's going to happen in the future. It's all about betting on those kind of things. And what was, you know, Din.social was the first community notes. It was community notes before X had community notes, before Meta adopted community notes, which is Facebook. So, you know, these are things I look back in the future and the past, I kind of look that way. And I think of real blockchain solutions that don't necessarily involve money, that could be a betterment for society.
Greg, what about you? Do you have any looking to the future and go back and?
Yeah, I think we've got still the ability latent to build a proper world computer, a proper machine that looks like an L1 that scales. I really think that the capacity and the technology to make that happen actually exist. And I think that we just haven't applied the tools that we already have the right way to get the results, because people stopped looking for it. And I suspect that that not everybody stopped looking for it, and either somebody listening to this, or somebody in this room, or someone else is going to be dusting that off and firing it up one of these days real soon. And then we'll see what really happens when a decentralized, unstoppable computing system hits the world. Until then, we're going to have theater, and I think what we have right now is a lot of theater.
Yeah,
Right.
well, we have a risk too of, you know, CBDCs in whatever form you want to call them, maybe in stable coins or an actual through UBI or whatever. And the threat of technocracy and tyranny through technocracy. We have a lot of threat on the horizon when you look at, you know, AI and replacing more and more jobs, and automation with robotics replacing more and more jobs. And that transition in that economy to what I call, you know, a lot of people call that post-labor economics, where we're no longer trading our wages, our time and our, you know, and wage for money, but instead that is no longer the method of earning income, you know. And we blockchain could play a big role in that.
Yeah.
And it can, and honestly, when you look to the future, if you could move forward into the future, I think if you're optimistic and not too black-pilled about it and falling into technocracy, you could move into the future and you might see something akin to the Star Trek world, where there are people that want to explore or learn new things or grow intellectually or experience new things, and money is not the thing that people are chasing. They're
Right.
chasing more knowledge, more experience in a safe manner, and
Right. They're
and
world building
not
instead.
harming others and these types of things, and a system that doesn't have an overbearing government that is practicing thievery through central banking and taxation
Yeah.
and wars and
Right.
these kinds of things. So I look forward, I look
Yeah.
to the future, and I see that, and I know in that future probably some kind of blockchain exists as a form of currency or money doesn't even need to exist in that realm. And in that future, that means that there is no central banking and there is no inflation and the ugliness of inflation that steals
Right.
And
the exchange that takes place to make labor happen towards human ends is going to take place so far in the deep infrastructure that the mechanics of exchange, while they'll still be taking place, won't be visible to the naked eye, not even to people who troubleshoot the systems built on top of the systems, because it will just be this harmony of clockwork running underneath the whole machine.
And
people forget too, they really forget what Satoshi did. He brought about the idea, and we don't have it yet, but the idea that money doesn't have to originate from government. Money doesn't have to originate and be created by central banking. And it could have a cap, a scarcity, and that's it's mind-blowing when we start thinking in those terms of how revolutionary that is to future societies. We're kind of screwing it up. We're screwing up that vision right now by the chasing of, number go up, and the chasing of power and greed, letting them take over this blockchain in this world. But I think that the future is just that. Those will be archaic and barbaric and savage if we were in the future looking back at central banking.
Well, and ultimately, they're endeavors that can't succeed. So
you'll probably see it if you watch it hard enough right now, because look, they're trying to implement CBDCs, right? They go and say, okay, we need this in the code. This is what we want. Okay, they start to do it. Oh no, we changed our mind. This is how the law is going to work now. So you got to do this. At some point, it's gonna be like with Facebook's stable coin. They're gonna keep prepping and doing it, and no one's gonna adopt it because there's all these real-time use cases outside of what they're saying, and they're gonna be lost in history because they were too stubborn about what the laws and the implementations are.
Yeah, they didn't have a choice. They tried to push back at the USPTO, and the USPTO said they validated Reggie's patents. So,
like Sean says, a post-scarcity world. That's right.
Well, and the cool thing is that it was what I got the big picture for me of cryptocurrencies when Mom introduced us to it 2017, because I'd been operating in the nonprofit world, but that's where there's a scarcity on a different level. There's only so many dollars being given out, and all the nonprofits are competing against each other. And instead, in cryptocurrency, if there is a finite number of a coin or a project, and people are putting their energy into it, the energy grows. And so the project itself, what's the famous saying, rising tides raise all ships. It's a more healthy ecosystem together. It's a strengthened community. And that's, if we want to get our communities healthy and society, humanity healthy again, then stop tearing each other down, giving handouts, but say, how can we all contribute? What can you contribute? What can you contribute? How are we stronger together? So that's really the exciting part that I see for the possibility of the future of these. So anyway, my little
definitely
hopium queen speech.
Well, let's shatter that hopium and let's move on to current events.
Hey, I'm black pilled. Here we go.
All right, black pill. Let's put out some dosage of black pills out there to the world. What's going on in the world? Let's be black pill pushers.
We're going to Venezuela, and we're gonna go and take over the oil that they took over from us because private property.
It's not about the oil.
Just yesterday, I was approached by some.
I think it's about the Leave Behind network
boats in Venezuela to go fishing with. They were.
It's not about the oil. It's about
and
Smartmatic and all the evil ones. And I do think it's interesting that it's my understanding that I guess they gave Maduro a timeline of, you can get out, you can go isolate yourself on an island, whatever. And it was my understanding that the community themselves are the ones that didn't want him to leave because they wanted him to face the consequences of what, because we, the people of Venezuela, have suffered under these cartels reigning.
Yeah.
And you could say that about almost every country. I don't think America has.
I think the biggest problem is what you're going to do with the aftermath, right? Like we created a hotbed for the rise of ISIS in Iraq with what we did there, right? We basically made a new enemy, a space for them to flourish, just a chaos zone of no governance. And we're about to put one of those in our hemisphere. To me, that seems pretty fucking stupid. That's just me.
ISIS is not a no governance. That's the deep state governance. That's the cartel. And right, that's
the elite infrastructure that was there behind the scenes anyway. Yes.
Yeah, our cartel was funding them. We create, like you said, we created that. So if it's truly given back to the people of Venezuela, then you'll have a situation like El Salvador.
Right. But it's not going to be given back to the people, right? We're going to put a CIA style leave behind network there and control that government from here on out.
Yeah, I don't believe that anymore. I think that El Salvador's the model, and it's possible.
Well, I feel like we're watching Donald Trump get used to playing with the toys that the evil bastards normally play with this game down in Venezuela. I think this is a toy sandbox where he's like, let's try out using the thing that we built to go into the Middle East where I want to use it. Right? So it's happening now in our hemisphere, which is weird, but it's the same machine.
Why would he do that if he's so invested in America? And
I think the oil is pretty obvious, right? Like, I mean, why not? We could take that oil.
Is shit.
We can also stabilize. We can also hear me out. We can also stabilize a coalition now between whatever we install in Venezuela and our buddy in Argentina, and we've got like a pro-freedom front in a continent that's been almost hopelessly Peronist for the better part of forever. There are a lot of compelling world-building, imperial ambitioned reasons to do this. It's just that those are dumb ambitions to have in this day and age. That's the thing that bothers me about it.
The war machine.
The biggest problem with it is it's going to work, and it's going to cut off power to Cuba, and we're probably going to have a cascade of these countries just collapse all around us.
Is that a bad thing if they're run by the cartel?
I mean, it's been decades.
The chaos of it might be a worse situation than what we started with, but I can't say for certain it's a bad thing.
I think that our government is run by a cartel. It's called the deep state. It's the Intel super state, and it's run. I think Trump even answers to them. I think the Intel super state needs a war with Venezuela, because it takes our eyes off the ball, the Epstein ball, and it also takes our, like Sean said in the chat, I think it's also, Venezuela oil, while it's not, the type of crude oil that the world wants, Houston certainly wants to be able to, run it through its refineries. So it's got a lot of value that way. But even still, the Venezuelan thing is the flexing of our muscle on this side of the hemisphere, because we certainly can't do that for Taiwan. And I don't know. I just think it's to feed the coffers, because the addicts of war, which includes the military industrial complex, they need those ships to run. They need those missiles to fire. They need those jets to fly. They need all of that. They need all of that expense and money so that it keeps the machine turning. And so they need war. That's part of the endless war.
The politicians need too, because they need the endless war in order to rally a certain subset of the population around it. And
the extra,
and also to keep the funds flowing into their coffers from the war fighters.
Like the collateral damage, which is a win, is the voting systems in Venezuela. If that's uncovered and proven, how it infiltrated the America and altered that vote, that's just an extra check on the box for if we get some of their oil to be able to refine in Houston, that's another good win. it just adds to it and just adds to it. If we can restore some sort of freedom for these people, well, I guess a win. If there's
That's not
more
on the agenda, though.
well, yeah, I think we have to think of, what if Trump is not the commander in chief?
Our idea of
It's the other way
freedom
around.
being
It's
installed
kind of
is
like
the
they
Shah of
show him
Iran,
the
right?
JFK
Like,
assassination and say, "Here, you answer to us."
we'll install someone who tortures them if that's who's available and who is in our interest.
Well, I guess I can say there's one good thing that came out that could potentially come out of this, is that we don't have the money to turn this into another Iraq
or Vietnam. Yeah.
It's all monopoly money at this point, anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's still robbing us. It's still robbing us. It's still
everyone knows
inflation.
how much of a monopoly dollar it is because of how the inflation has kicked our ass.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, I don't see, they don't seem to be afraid of it right now, considering the Fed's cutting rates.
Well, I think yeah.
That was predetermined, because we all know that once they raised the rates, they couldn't afford to keep them up.
Right.
Well, no, but they also can't afford to bring them down, because it puts pressure on the dollar that will force them to raise it further. And the next threshold will be a firmer one, where if they drop it at all, except the inflation looks like they're losing bandwidth, they can move down.
Yeah, I realize that, and this puts pressure on Washington, and eventually they're going to have to capitulate, and it's going to go, everyone, the game's up.
This is what it feels like when the bill comes due, essentially.
It is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the 60s all over again. That's right. That's right, Sean. I have to agree with you on that one. It's how history rhymes, right?
But a new oil field might actually take some of the sting out of that.
Can what's the latest with MTG?
There's Venezuela for you.
And Trump. What's this big fight between MTG and Trump, and what's MAGA? How is MAGA? Is MAGA siding with Trump, or is MAGA siding with MTG, or is it a split?
I think
What's
it's
going
an
on?
awareness, an awakening and awareness, because once again, people started turning their brains off again. Oh, I'm MAGA. Yes, I'm America first. And all of a sudden she says, I'm not MAGA. I am America first. And now people have to, that group has to go, well, wait a minute. What's the difference? And they have to ask questions, and they have to educate themselves. And it's more of the awakening. I think it's great. I think every opportunity for people to stop giving up their power, whether that's to Trump, a hat, MAGA, America first, a saying, MTG, and say, this is what I believe, what I care about, and not have to tear someone else down for what they care about, but to have an open discussion and say, these are my ideas, but I'm open to hearing your ideas. And then once again, how can we be more together? So I think it's great. It's a little kayfabe, but I enjoy it.
It's a fair point, honestly. The idea that we rally around these, like greatness as a concept. What is that? That's a thing we rarely pick apart. What does that even freaking mean to say make it great? Like let's look at what that means. Does that mean first all the time, every time? Does it mean if you're not first, you're last? Right? Like is it Ricky Bobby America, or is it a smarter America? Right? Like, and I don't think that make America great has to be the sword we die on, the hill we die on, right? Like, we don't have to throw ourselves.
Not everybody's America looks the same.
To get my metaphor straightened around.
Yeah,
exactly.
Not
it's
everybody's
like the definition of wealth. Is it really money, or is wealth really? You're wealthy if you're healthy. All kinds of things. Success, like you said, Lisa.
Yeah.
It's a different definition.
A youth pastor that when my kids were little, and she spoke to the parents once a year, and one of the best messages, for lack of, sorry to get all, I'm from the South, that's how they talk anyway, but she was telling these parents, like, success, we think that if you ask a parent what they want for their children, mostly they would say they want them to be happy, but then the actions that we do daily to make our children happy, to have a happy future, are what we think is builds success. And that may be counter to them being happy, because our idea of success in our generation was going to college. Well, first of all, you have to go to the right school so that you meet the right people, and you have to do all the sports and be in the right activities and get the right grades so that you can then go to the right college, so you can meet the right people and get the right job and work your ass off so that you can have lots of money and no time with your family. And that is success back in my generation. Well, that's and you're seeing it now with my children. They're now adults and married. They value time and experiences, and that's what makes them happy. And so that's what success is now in their generation. So the definitions are so distracting, and we mostly want our children to be happy, and that's what we want for community, is to be fulfilled, happy, loved,
So interesting thing that parallels there, Lisa, because my own parents were of that same generation, the same mindset. And I was raised like that, despite the fact that most of my peers were not, right? So I definitely have the whimsy of our generation programmed into me, because that's unavoidable when you grow up when computers are invented and the internet comes online, right? Like, you can't not be a dreamer in that world. Or, I mean, I guess you could be if you were, raised in a shed and told that you had to face the wall the whole time you were growing up, right? Like, it changes the way that you look at it, but still, I think there's value in that old mindset. That I think maybe has changed form, that the path isn't so clear, but the mindset needs to be not lost on the current generation. So I think being raised like that is what separates someone who, wants to dream of a better world, but doesn't have the I don't know, grit to build it. I guess we have to be able to build worlds again. Exactly.
Yeah. The work ethic part is great. Yeah. And community building.
But the path isn't the same. The path isn't the same anymore. And the path is unknown to all of us, because there's no one path.
Yeah.
I get upset with the baby boomers, and I'm the last year of the baby boomers, but I get upset with them trying to compare their lives to younger generations and say, well, you just need to work harder, or you just need to, cut your spending and you'll be able to afford a house. It's all bullshit because of the cost of the inflation and how the
especially considering the amount of productivity wielded by one person today is like, in your little finger, you wield more economic force than a day's labor yielded in the parent who's criticizing you for that exact, on that exact basis. You're wielding more economic power with your fingers than you are with,
but on the flip side,
back anymore these days.
Plug in the devaluation of the dollar, though, Greg, is what I'm trying to go at.
Oh, that's the shame of it.
The cost of the house and the cost of the car, that it's not apples to apples.
Could you imagine how wealthy we would all be without the inflation tax?
It would. Well, we would go back to a single earner in the home,
and that single earner could be like a DoorDasher for a living, and they're making enough money to live a fucking lush existence.
I've said it numerous times that the milk deliver milk to the house is your Amazon driver,
right? And he used to be a breadwinner for a whole family back in the day.
Exactly, and a new home and a car every other year, and all the health, no worries about health insurance, all these things.
The inflation tax has robbed that from us. We are all paying it constantly.
Honestly, when you start plugging in the real numbers, and that's where the baby boomers don't get it. But when you start plugging in the real numbers, it takes more than 2 incomes now to have that same lifestyle.
3.
It's really 3 or 2.5 in some regions.
Oh yeah. I mean, and you can have varying degrees of success and be nowhere near that still.
No wonder our birth rate's plummeting.
What do you think's going to happen in Japan? Is that the birth rate over there is as low as it was in 1899 or something like that?
Yeah, I thought Japan was worse.
You're going to have to start hosting public orgies, man.
South Korea, yeah. South Korea is, I was just thinking about this morning. I was thinking, 50, 100 years, a baby girl is going to be born, and they're going to everyone in the community is going to rejoice and want this child to grow up healthy and, well, don't climb on the monkey bars. We don't want you to fall and hit your head, because we need you to birth children. It's
norms around adults procreating need to go back to, like, not just encouraging the kids, but encouraging the sex. Honestly, if you want to fix the problem, then you actually have to make it so that it's socially easier for adults to mate, which is not entirely. I mean, the environment has become more and more hostile over the years.
Yeah. Well, but there's economic reasons for it, political reasons for it as well. The biologically. Wow, I'm going to sound. I can't put this into words correctly, probably, and it sounds horrible, but the biological female wants a stable environment to be able to bring children into that environment. That's the ideal, right? So if you have
the ideal doesn't always
an economic hardship, then you're going to ultimately curtail, live births. And so you could almost chart the inflation rate, central banking, and the fucking evils of government, and the drop off of birth rates. You could almost chart
but if we wanted any kind of policy initiative to say today, it won't work to encourage people to have more kids, right? We have to encourage them to have more kids by accident.
Well, yeah. But then again, you look at certain segments of population where religion plays a large role.
Sounds irresponsible.
And you have the LDS, the Mormon faith, that have large families, or used to have traditionally large families. You have the Muslim population with large families, and you don't have that in the Western cultures with the strong central banking. You don't have it.
Except for the culture.
But we do have.
Say that again.
Each of us half the equipment we need to solve the problem right now.
Right. What was that, Lisa?
Except for the cultures that don't participate in central banking, like the Amish that trade in the Dore bar and don't pay taxes and all that.
So my argument, yes, you're absolutely right, Lisa. I'm sorry, I cut you off there. So my argument and my theory, and someone out there can prove me wrong or run with it and do a social study, or maybe there already is a scientific paper on a peer-reviewed scientific paper for me to review. But my argument would be, if you chart inflation from central banking, you'll see a drop-off in birth rates. Or if you have a community like the Amish, like you said, Lisa, and others that aren't as connected to that central banking world, you probably won't see the drop off in birth rates.
The only thing that I'm sorry, go ahead.
So you attribute the existence of managed economies to the drop off of birth rates as a causal thing.
Yes.
In a healthy environment, because you can also apply that to where does the central bank reward
it does map
in the welfare system, in unhealthy situations where the father's not, they actually encourage them not to put the father on the birth certificate. Just like Greg was saying, you'd have to trick them in a unhealthy way. Like, you guys are both right.
I wasn't saying it was wrong.
But see, this goes back to the root. The root is government is fucking evil and is creating these problems to society and killing society and preventing society's birth rate to grow because government is approving and allowing central banking to continue.
Well, and in a way, it has turned democracy into a gun we're putting to our heads.
Yes.
They're the ultimate enabling parent and making a very unhealthy child that's dependent. That's
we started with the system that was ostensibly free, and it evolved into this. Yeah. So whatever we reset to has to be new, and it has to figure out the error and account for it.
So you can say central banking equals population control, which is just like saying central banking equals slavery.
Yes, absolutely.
Prove me wrong.
Well, except for slavery, at least engaged in husbandry to improve the stock.
It's unless automation is on the
We're not
forefront,
getting genetic boost from these guys. They're using us like they're renting us.
cattle.
Yeah, it's the what is it, the store,
They're renting the entire labor economy is what they're
Yep.
doing.
business store, or what's it called when they have those little towns where like they move in the
Company store?
Yes, it is the company store.
Yeah. Yes.
You'll get
And
your
yeah.
tokens from us, and we will set the price, and you'll
Right.
work for us, and we'll tell you how much you're going to make and how much you're going to pay for everything. So,
bingo, Lisa. Exactly. It's script. It's company script, right? It's
Mhm.
that is exactly what we live in. If you're under the central bank and
It's gross
planning,
because
It is.
it's absurd to say, but in a very real way, it's to the human beings under it than slavery, because at least slavery cared
Was
about
on-
the capital stock.
and took care of their
Right.
because it was their
It
stock.
was it was in their best interest not to run everybody into the ground because they wanted to breed them and keep selling them. They don't give a
Right.
shit if we keep breeding.
or to be able to grow their
That's what it
their
pretends,
farm,
because
increase their
like
production on
what
the
it maps
farm,
to,
whatever.
if it is a population control thing, is that they don't care if we keep breeding.
There's an episode on Peter Santinello's YouTube channel recently where he went and talked in the Appalachian Mountains, and they were talking about these company stores and how the coal mining, and it's just very factual. The people living there understood that the coal mine owns everything. They own your house, they own everything. You get paid, but they have like the company stores are now, old and run down and whatever, but they're talking about the society and how it was. And if a coal miner died, the wife had 7 days to remarry, or they literally came in, moved all of her belongings out to the edge of town and kicked her out because they had that house. It was all just property, and including the family living there became property of the company. And so if
Serfdom.
you weren't
That's what you're
working,
describing.
yeah, but expand that to the central bank. And because we don't have control of them printing and what they use the dollars for or any of that, the supply or the weight, the value, then we are in that company store as well. But with this myth of being free, and paying our little taxes, even when we pay off our house, it just
Right.
keeps them numbed.
It only becomes apparent if you ever want to buy something that's not offered in the store.
Right.
It's like
Yep.
it's like they used to say in the USSR, they pretend to pay us, we pretend to work.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's actually the same malaise, isn't it?
But you're
It
never
is.
free.
Can I
It's just got at from a different angle.
yeah. It's a fascinating study when you start looking at the evils of central banking and how it's decade after decade destroyed societies. It really is. There's I just put in the private chat. I don't know, Lisa, do you think you could play this? Because
I could play it.
I'm using it, or you can, Andrew. It's a
Yeah,
short,
just a second.
and it has to do with central banking and the debt. And I thought it was really good. It's probably 1 minute
just
long.
a second. Share screen.
I think you probably may have all
What?
seen this before. I don't know.
I think that's the right one.
Yeah, that's it. Do you want me to pull it up to the screen?
Yeah, that's fine.
Fucking world is $281 trillion in debt.
You are in luck. There's a parable all about this, and it's awesome. There is a town somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and everyone owes each other money. And then one day, a traveler comes to town, and he stays in a motel. The motel has a full refund policy after 24 hours. He puts down $100 and gets a room. The motel owner, he looks at this $100 and he's like, whoa, oh my God, this is exactly how much money I owe to the baker. So he goes and pays off his debt to the baker. The baker looks at this money and he's like, well, this is exactly as much how much I owe to the shoemaker. And he goes to the shoemaker. People until eventually someone's like, hey, I owe this amount of money to the motel owner. So he gives it to the motel owner back where it started. And then the traveler is like, hey, it's been 24 hours and I don't like it here. So he takes his money back and he leaves. Everyone has the same amount of money, but then suddenly nobody's in debt. because money isn't real, but debt motivates people, so it's important to the economy for some reason.
The fucking world is
That
Crazy.
is fantastic because it's exactly what rehypothecation does.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
A whole bunch of people running around pretending they have loanable assets without anything but the vapor in somebody else's trail of lending.
Well, this is where the silver is going to break this, because
I
it's
hope
not
so.
it's not that the silver, it will separate the paper and the physical need, because silver is physically needed for medicine, for technology, all these things. That's where, when I was watching that video, Mike Maloney was talking about it this morning. I don't know who he was watching.
Yeah,
or
silver is an asset.
it's not that just going to be that they can keep printing more paper silver and make up for the lack of physical demand on the COMEX, or where LBMA, whatever it's called. It will break because these people cannot create the products that they need to keep their businesses going. And so that will create the unobtainium and separate reality. So it's exciting.
It is. It is. We are as 2026 fast approaches, there's a lot of things that are coming to a head, and it's going to force a resolution one way or the other. And we just have to remember we outnumber them. We outnumber them, and we don't have to bow to this central evil that is forced upon us in tyrannical governments. Or
They literally don't have enough people to do anything to us if we all decide to do nothing.
I just thought
Well, their mindset
E.T. and the Buddy, right?
Numbers.
What's that, Andrew?
I said their mindset is there's safety in numbers, and that's why they're not terribly concerned about the consequences of their actions now, is because they think there's still enough numbers to sustain their existence. And you see that
So
in
long
a
as they-
lot of different countries. Britain, United
ultimately
As
it's
they
ET
can
and
control the media, control the bread and circus that we consume, and poison our brains with the food that we consume, and dumb us down, and keep us in the dark, and keep us with the horse blinders on, then they will continue. Then we won't amass, and because we outnumber them, and start rising up. It
but
doesn't
resolve
have
to
I'm
serve
not
no
talking
more, and
about
at once you are
violence.
free, right?
Yeah, I'm not talking about a violent revolution. I'm talking about, like, example, what we've just discussed here on the show about blockchain, and how there are so many opportunities for real solutions if we just push government out of the way, or just say, you know what, free men don't ask for permission. I'm going to build it anyway.
We're just building a direction that nobody's thought of building in yet. And
Yeah.
because you build in a new direction, there are no rules around doing it.
Right. Build on Mars. And
or build a thing that nobody's built before, right? Come up
Yeah.
with something new to do with a blockchain instead of just setting up another DeFi shop to compete with Uniswap or whatever,
Yeah. I just thought of a great, well, maybe I shouldn't say it. I'm going to come up with or post a meme asylum coin next round after our discussion. I'm super excited. You guys are encouraging me to jump in the game and build too. So
nice.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Everybody can fucking vibe code. There's nobody on earth who cannot.
Yeah.
It's power that
it's
everybody should be taking advantage of.
Everyone should take a look at that meme asylum. I think it's a really it's a novel way to fix the meme market. The meme market is $65 billion market. And there's so many people that lose all their shit on these meme coins. It doesn't have to be that way. And that's what meme asylum's all about. I can say I like to either invest or talk about items that a blockchain that have real solutions to real problems. And a $60 billion marketplace where a lot of pain happens because people lose their stack of coin, I think is a great place to insert a solution, which I'm going to argue is meme coin asylum.
thank you, Greg.
Yeah, I will, Greg. Just a second.
Sweet.
Actually,
Okay, my computer can't do it. It'll drop sound, but I've got some vibe coding products of my own that you guys
Nice.
should freaking see because of how easy it is to like literally just say like I want this in just pure CSS. It's the dumbest thing on earth that this works, but it's awesome.
There it is.
React to the
someone
screen.
pulled up. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw this yesterday. So explain it to what people think it's just a code that's flashing light. Tell us why it's more than that.
So that pulse is pulsing exactly at 1 second on a clock, but it's not synchronized to that clock in any way. It's literally just a gradient that is making it pulse at exactly 1 second.
So it's the code that has very few lines of code that that present this, right?
57.
Yep, this is all it all loads when you load the page into CSS and just starts playing. All with vibe coding. Try the avalanche one. Go back.
Oh, which one? This one right here?
Yeah, that one right there. That one's a cool one.
Okay.
So the idea here is that you can have less code, which is less energy, right?
Yeah.
More efficient.
And more efficient. That, again, it's just so few lines of code that's actually creating this and doing this.
Yeah.
And
it's pretty remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very efficient.
Yeah.
So it would take less energy. Is the idea?
Yes.
Yep.
108 lines.
But it's it's the idea here is it's visually represented by what the light is doing, or is visually representing what the code is showing.
Well, these are essentially little physics experiments. Try the light engine. That one's an interesting one. That's the upper right.
Yeah.
This one has little avalanches that should remind you of the way light flickers off the surface of water. And when I say avalanches, I mean cascades from really deep colors to really bright colors.
This one's only 45 lines of code.
Can you load certain frequencies into these visuals?
I could, but the reason that that it flows the way that it does is because I'm trying to hit the specific math that you have to hit to make it behave the way that it's behaving. So there are constraints around it, but I can make the colors different. I can't change the rate it pulses through them or how it decides to pulse through them. Yep.
Which one would you like
Pretty
to
fun
do
stuff.
now?
All vibe coded. Like you can do this stuff with like check out the pulse one. That one's a good one. This one, it's a trip because it plays with color. Yeah. So it's going to start.
Time is crackling. Oh, that's cool.
So, but the gradient behind it is the interesting part because that's still just pure CSS playing in the background, and how it's rippling is pretty subtle.
Right. Let's see how many lines of code this is. 13.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah,
it is.
So, and that's just from some underlying math I uncovered that I was playing around with. A whole other story there, but this is something that I just vibe code. Like I busted out like 15 of these in 20 minutes with ChatGPT. Anybody can make anything. Anybody can make anything. Just dream it up and see if they'll shoot some code out.
That's what's crazy with where there you go. What Sean was talking about, a life of abundance without scarcity. There is an opportunity there that we will see, machines and robotics doing so many things, kind of like the Star Trek replicator, doing so many things for us, so that it frees up time, so we don't have to trade, our time and labor for income. And so long as we don't allow technocracy to take over. It's a amazing time to witness and watch all of this unfold. And like we said, like I was saying earlier, we say it every year. Every year there's a convergence of problems that is going to collide, and it's going to force a resolution. Well, I think 2026 is a big one when it comes to AI and debt and these kinds of things. Silver, like you talked about, Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Exciting
fascinating.
time.
Yep. Well, we're almost at the 2-hour mark. I think we should finish it out and let everyone know what we're doing, where you can find us, and what's happened in your world, and what to watch for, and all that kind of good stuff. Greg, what you got us going with these lines of code. What else is happening with you?
Well, so I've been looking into some underlying maths that I've uncovered through some research I was doing into AI, and it's led to the development of like these code pens and a whole bunch of other things, some ideas that I can't even begin to articulate without sounding insane because I don't have demos sitting in front of me. So I'm going to be pushing on a lot of different fronts, but keeping it concrete coming up over the next few months, and just showing off some of the stuff that this little discovery can help people do, because it's not the sort of thing that I can keep for myself. Like, people need to be using this tool. And so I'm going to be trying to teach people how to use it. And that's going to be what I'm up to. Come follow me at Design Heretic on X if you want to know more. I'm sharing everything openly. Just for interest of time and space here, I'm not going to tell everybody everything, but if your interest is piqued, come hit me up.
Definitely. Nice. Thanks, Greg. Let's do it backwards. Lisa, where can we find you and what's new?
You can find me at like Quinn Lisa on YouTube, and or on at Lisa Mighty Davis on X and elsewhere, and at the Mighty Layer on Den Social. I'm looking for more people to help me build that community and contribute and see what it's supposed to be organically, because right now it's little old me and a couple of my friends, and the community is kind of morphing and trying to figure out what it wants to do there. So I'm going to have a show later today with Johnny Litecoin talking about developments with Litecoin, and of course all those exciting payment opportunities, and then a VSTEG show, which is one of my favorite things, with the V Cipher community, my friend Skullcap Savant, later today. So that's kind of going to be my day today.
Cool. Nice. Andrew, Legacy Right, what's going on with you?
Join me, Greg, and Zach next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 Central. We're going to go through another episode of The Silver Linings, and besides that, we'll be back here next Thursday. Zach will be doing his normal routine on when he goes and streams for, prophetic intentions and everything else. So we look forward to you guys joining us, and thank you again for letting us, inviting us into your home.
Yep,
or
and don't snort
at work
Dubby.
or wherever you're at. Yeah, just don't snort Dubby.
We miss you, Zach, Sean, and Joe. All right. Hope you all are well, and we hope to see you here next week. Let's see. Well, as your host, first of all and foremost, we want to thank all of those who have participated in today's show, including the panelists. Thank all those who have been watching and listening, and make sure that everyone posts their theme for next month. We need those themes for next month so they can be then put to a vote and find out what the panelists are going to talk about. Remember, this is a blockchain show where we provide real solutions using blockchain to real world problems. That's what I think anyway. But, I'm a little biased. Until next week, remember, same time, same channel next week, next Thursday. Come check us out here on World Blockchain Roundtable. And I want to thank everybody for their input. And let's just go ahead and have first, because Sean's not here, I got to play this. What would Sean say?
He would say, "Be good to each other."
He had that in the chat, so it was a little late. Anyway,
Hmm.
we'll go ahead and let John McAfee. Boy, I sure miss that man. Let's have him take us out. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next week.
America is not the government, people. The America is you. It is the Grand fucking Canyon, the Rocky Mountains, the deserts of the Southwest, the Pacific fucking Ocean, the Atlantic fucking Ocean. It is the grandest continent. And what the fuck have you people done? You have turned yourself into sheep, every goddamn one of you.